flashback 250 years ago, the coal had been invented, and it was the inflection point towards the first big technological eruption in the history of mankind. Fast forward, we have the invention of electricity, of exploration of oil and gas. Then we have the cars and propeller fans, airplanes and aircrafts. Then we have the jet aircrafts. Then we have the mainframes and computers, till we reach the current time that we are living in. So in 250 years, we lived 4 industrial revolutions. And actually what's interesting is the one that we are living right now. So the real technological eruption had been through the invention of internet. So the internet and communication had been progressively developed for the past 30 years. What happened to businesses down the road? Now, if we hadn't have the chance to have financial and economic evolution around these inventions throughout the 4 industrial revolutions had been only sitting in the labs and in universities and in R&D centers. So as these products and processes had been developed throughout the years, so did the financial systems and economies. So when we compared the revolution since the invention of coal, steam engines, till communication and the AI and all the technological products that we are using right now, so did the financial and business economies as well. So we started with coins, moving to cash and money. Then we have the beginning of the 20th century, the dollar dominance. But it was backed by the gold till early 70s of last century. The breakup between the dollar and the gold took place because the supply of money, if we kept it backed by certain commodities like gold, this wouldn't have helped us as population is growing exponentially. As we speak, how many of you are using banknotes, which is the dollar, the dinar, to pay for your bills? How many businesses are using actual cash just to go and pay their taxes, their duties, to clear out goods and products imported or produced? Even the business and enterprises had embarked on this technology of Internet of Things and AI to help having the financing accessed by almost everyone. Despite of quarter to 1/3 of the population right now is not financially included, out of financial inclusion, unfortunately, so far. Nevertheless, all businesses, individuals, we don't use cash anymore in the sense of cash. We're using electronic mode of transferring and using the cash to fulfill our goals individually and business levels. So using your smart devices, using the applications or the online banking systems, you can do miracles within this private, centralized ledger. Plus, businesses, if they want to transfer money outside the country, they use other mode of payments and transfers. The famous one is SWIFT. It will take 3 to 5 days. It depends on the number of intermediaries. So if you use your local bank, you will go from, it depends on the amount that you want to transfer to, in which country, and the amount to be received as well. So was it enough for mankind to just being satisfied that we achieved almost everything on the planet? So we had, using the incredible scientific, I wouldn't say invention, but the equation of Einstein saying that the speed of light is 300,000 kilometers per second. So this simple formula helped us to having all the financial and transactions being processed in the speed of light. Is it enough for us just to be satisfied for 5 days to receive the transfer, or vice versa? It seems it will never be enough. This is where the blockchain had been invented and introduced to us. So instead of a couple of days and paying hundreds of billions of dollars in processing fees only, pouring to banks in forms of revenues, we don't want this intermediary anymore. Instead of having it in a couple of days, I want it instantly, the payment to be processed. So you're just wondering, what will happen to the financial institutions worldwide? What's coming for them? I wouldn't be worried much about this because it's all about adaptability. When the electric cars had been introduced, everyone said that all the big companies that historically we all know about, GE and General Motors and Mercedes and BM and etc., they will go bankrupt. But on the contrary, they evolved and they grew as they are adapting to this new technology. Some of the companies, they failed to adapt. We all know the story of Nokia. So Nokia, they were dominating the market, but they couldn't adapt with the genius invention of the late Steve Jobs of the smartphones, and his colleagues, of course. So when they introduced the first version of this Apple smart device, it was a beginning of an era, and it's the end of others era because they couldn't adapt. So same applies on banks. When we moved to the current situation of electronic payments performed on our private ledgers, on our phones, using our bank account, transferring amounts in and out, using a lot of forms. So here in Jordan we have the Click, we have eFawatiRcom, we have a lot of technology. It's in the same technology, but under different names in different countries. It's the same technology, same concept. Same challenge had been introduced to banks, that would banks be able to handle this change? What will happen to their revenues, to their ability to grow? But you know what? They adapted, and they embarked on this technology, and they have digital banks accordingly. Someone would say, what would happen to their branches, to their employees, the layoffs? This is where the adaptability comes from. When we say blockchain, the first thing that will come into your minds, Bitcoin, right? The answer, it shouldn't be. Because blockchain and Bitcoin built around its blockchain, it's the simplest form of blockchain technology. You cannot use the Bitcoin blockchain to perform payments in the sense of mega payments. You don't have smart contracts built in within the Bitcoin blockchain. Bitcoin, as we start mentioning the blockchain, we should start speaking about the cryptocurrencies. And the first famous one is Bitcoin. But look at Bitcoin as the store of value. It's the digital gold. It's the digital gold. But other blockchains had been invented that's more advanced, that you can build more layers within the blockchain itself in order to perform payments and transfers. We said that we want to have this instant transfers between one individual to another, from B to B, one business, etc. Without the intermediary, direct intermediary of banks, and without the centralized authority of governments. So we have the Ripple XRP, we have the Ethereum blockchain. And within these blockchains, and we have other blockchains as well, Solana and etc. So within these blockchains, we have several layers that will help us perform a lot of transactions and do the necessary job. Within these blockchains, we have the digital gold, which is the Bitcoin. We have the stable coins. Have you heard of stable coins? What's stable coin? Is it issued by Federal Reserve? Is it issued by central banks? No. Stable coins, according to certain regulation, it's issued by private companies. But from where it will derive its value? It will derive its value from being backed by a combination of portfolio of treasury bills, treasury bonds, gold, physical gold, Bitcoin, and other financial instruments. So why it's stable? Because it's plus minus certain tiny spread against the actual US dollar. We have till now two main stable coins. We have USDT and we have USDC. And these stable coins, using a platform and a blockchain like Ethereum or Solana or other types or forms of blockchains, you can perform the transfer instantly in a second or couple of seconds with minimal fees. And this is bad news for banks, right? But we mentioned the adaptability. As we speak, some of the regulations, and in the United States itself, they are discussing right now the ability of licensing and giving licenses to banks, mega banks, to be licensed for integrating their systems with blockchains. Now, banks are running for regulators to regulate it because they know by heart that they cannot be outside this game. Okay, where are the central banks? How about the monetary policy to control inflation and to boost employment? It will evolve around this technology, of course. And the banks, the central banks, will be issuing what we call CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. And it's coming. Now, central banks are working towards certain deadlines in the coming years to issue their own CBDCs. So they will still perform their traditional mandate and goal of controlling prices and reducing unemployment. What about the stocks themselves, the bonds? We have, for example, Apple shares, Tesla shares, Microsoft shares. We have in other stock exchanges, including Amman Stock Exchange. We have several shares for several listed companies in different sectors: banks, extractive industries, manufacturing, services, etc. Are they going to be digitalized, tokenized, transferred, and invested in the same form of payments processing that we mentioned? The answer is yes, under what we call digital securities. So you will be having the chance to tokenize shares, like the companies that I mentioned. And instead of being forced, if you want to invest, to buy a full share, either you buy one full share of Apple in our example. It's not about promoting certain companies' shares, but it's about giving an example. Okay? You will be having a chance through tokenization to buy a fraction of this share. You'll be have a chance to buy a fraction of treasury bonds that the governments issue to finance their capex and opex. What about real world assets? We have real estate. We have plots of land. You know how it costs, how much it costs, the 1 square meter Western Amman? Generation Z, Gen Z. Do you know how much? 1 dunum, how much? Okay, it seems that you are not in the real estate business. So it's about $1 million. Now through fractionalization, through tokenization of real estate, you'll be having the chance to invest in certain properties within your own limited budget using the blockchain. We have the XRP blockchain as we speak. Till now, they are one of the few that they are competing to be integrated with banks in order to perform this instant payments with unlimited capacity. Now, having said all that, we are accustomed for the past tens and even hundreds of years that mother government should be in between, right? Should be the one who's coordinating among all parties, right? Till now. And they've done a great job. Going forward, having all the intermediaries being out of the way technologically, and the central banks, we need regulations. And countries and governments, they are aware of this challenge. This is why they are making the proper legislations to embrace this technology, to govern this technology, in order to make sure that everyone will be, all the relationships among all parties will be intact and safe. And this is why blockchains have to have certain controls when it comes to cybersecurity, anti-money laundering, counter-financing and terrorism measures, and we mentioned the cybersecurity, of course, because this is a very important one in order to protect all the investors and the parties within these blockchains. We mentioned the layers within the blockchain. We should be reflecting on the developers. So it will be an open space. It will be an open ledger. Remember when we said the private ledgers? Now it will be an open ledger. No intermediaries. It will be end-to-end. It will be encrypted. It will be protected. And with this interrelationship among investors, businesses, developers, and regulators, we will be having the proper embracing of cryptocurrency and blockchain technologies in the future. My advice to you, don't be afraid of the change. We have to be cautious. And my message to especially Gen Z who are sitting in the auditorium, that you're lucky enough that you have maybe Gen X making your transition smooth enough that you will be the next generation to hold it to the 5th generation that's till now unlabeled. So don't bet against innovation, just embrace it. Thank you.